let's go ahead and let's talk about what could be, in my opinion, is probably one of the most important things that I don't think people are talking about enough when it comes to South Carolina football. And that is the Rasul Faison situation. Number one, and that's going to be one of the biggest things that we're going to talk about today. Is Rasul Faison going to get that NCAA waiver that will make him eligible going into 2025? So a little bit about this situation and what's going on around Columbia that is just causing so much controversy and causing so much headache in this coaching staff, and just going off of what is all going on, especially now that you're in the summer season, you're in off-season training, you're going through conditioning days, you're working out, you're supposed to be with the team. Well, Rasul Faison still hasn't gotten that waiver. He participated in spring practice, did all the spring drills, but yet he hasn't been cleared by the NCAA, which I think is a disgrace. And I think it's just ridiculous that we have to deal with this ordeal. So earlier this week, Shane Beamer talked with the media on 107.5, The Game, with our good friends Jay Phillips and Elijah Campbell. He said that they still haven't received a word on the waiver that would be needed for him to just be able to play in 2025. And this is what he said. It's unfortunate. Every time I hear through the grapevine that we should know something in the next day or two, it never happens. And what's today? Friday? I think Tuesday we heard we should know something in the next couple days. And here we are Friday. We've heard nothing. So nothing right now. Here's why this is such a big deal. And this is why I think there's a lot of frustration around Columbia, South Carolina about all this. Last year, you had the Cam McCormick situation where you get a 9th year of eligibility after McCormick started off in college football in either 16 or 17, had 2 medical waivers that got him eligible, then had COVID, then had the waiver that he sent out to the NCAA that got him eligible. Now, somebody please explain to me how that makes sense. How does it make sense that he's going to get an extra year of eligibility? What about your teammate, Oscar Attaway? He's been in college football the same time as Rasul Faison. The only difference is Rasul Faison didn't play the first 3 years of his collegiate career. Didn't play in 2019. Didn't play in 2019. Didn't play in 2020, didn't play in 2021. Started playing college football in 2022. And we'll get into his timeline of where he's been later on in the show. And because I think it's very important that we discuss that. But this is the inconsistency that college football has shown throughout their time as being the great organization that they always have been. And we love the NCAA. It's so funny because on my live show that I do on the weekdays on my X, I talked with a guy named Jake Crane of Crane & Company, and we talked about, and I told him, I think the NCAA is going to be gone by the 2030s, maybe even sooner. And he completely agreed with me. So I think it's so funny seeing the different blows that the NCAA has taken, but yet you see how inconsistent they have been with how bad this situation is for South Carolina. Now, I understand they have a lot on their plate right now. You have the House settlement that they've taken a beating of because of. You've had many other things that has affected you at the end of the day that has prevented you from going further and worrying about individual schools and these individual eligibility requirements. Well, what about the Pavia situation? How does that make sense? He's back because he's going to get another bag from the NCAA. Nobody wants to admit it, but guys, nowadays with this House settlement and with NIL and the portal, the reason why many of these cats are going to stay in college football for a while, especially those that are 23, 24, 25 years old and staying in college football, is to get money. It is a pay for play. It is no longer about, I'm sure they love the game of football, but they know there's added incentive at the end of the day. And so schools are doing this now. You're paying guys to come on your roster. That's what you do instead of the walk-on opportunities that you give out. That's another option that you give. And I think it's so incredible that we allow for this to happen. We accept that this is a thing that is eventually not going to turn out well at the end of the day for you. That has become a disaster. That has become so inconsistent. That has just caused so much frustration, not just internally in these football programs, but also outside, from the fans' perspective, from the media's perspective. I see it, and it's ridiculous that we have to deal with this. So let's go ahead and let's get into Faison's timeline of where he's been over the last couple of years in college football. And I think this is very, very, very needed that we talk about this. So, class of 2019 initially did commit to Lackawanna, and initially committed to Marshall, sat out of 2019, didn't do anything, enrolls at Lackawanna College, which is a JUCO, doesn't play there, enrolls at Marshall in 2021, doesn't play there. My question is, did he take a red shirt during that year? Because if he did, that would make more sense. If he didn't, that's where the problem lies. And I think it's so unfortunate that we don't have that information, because realistically, I don't even think he could have needed a waiver to get in. I think they would have granted him extra eligibility, because his NCAA clock didn't start till 2020. So he would have gotten a red shirt. 2021, it would have been a double red shirt. And so 2022 would have been the start of his red shirt sophomore year. 23 would have been his red shirt junior, 24 red shirt senior, and he should have gotten that extra year of eligibility, pretty much like what Oscar Attaway had.